or they're runners. I've had a lot of runners, a lot of people that run that say, I want a dog. They run, and then they also, their family goes camping and they go boating, and they want a dog that's going to be able to go with them everywhere they go. I had one guy that does bicycling, and he takes his dog with him, and they just finished, what was it, a 20-mile or something bicycle ride, and him and the dog went with him, and he's great.
And the reason that the versatile hunting dogs work better than the specialty dogs, the German Shorthair field trial dogs are bred to run very far and be very independent. So if you're going on a bike ride, the last thing you want is your dog to be independent. You want him to check in with you, to stay with you. If you go on a hike, if you go camping, you don't want your dog running off. You want your dog to be pretty much in tune to you. So you really have to think that if you're breeding, you can't keep all of your dogs. Our breeding program is very big and very, intensive. And we typically keep a puppy or two from every litter, but you still have to sell the rest of those puppies. So luckily for us, the same type of dog that we want to breed to for hunting makes the same exact perfect family dog. We breed for retrieving. Family wants a dog that when they throw a ball, we'll go in and retrieve it. And we want a dog that loves the water. Well, normal people, when they like to go to the water on their weekends and their vacations, and they want their dog to go in the water. If they throw a ball in the water, they want the dog to go in and get it. Or we want our dogs close working, paying attention to us, hunting with us. If the people go on a walk, they want the same thing. We want a dog that's good in the house, a good family dog. At the end of the day, that's the same thing they want. See, so it meshes perfect. So how do you find those dogs? You need to do your research. So the first thing I would do, is I would try to get a mentor if I could find somebody that's already doing it, so they could give me the tips. But we'll go over the books. We're going to jump back to that if I can remember right. The main books there's a whole bunch of German Shorthair books, but these are the main ones that get you started. This is Maxwell Beat's book, okay? And she's got, there's been 4 or 5 or 6 different printings. She's a very good writer. She covers a lot of German Shorthair stuff. She's not a big fan of field trial stuff, and she's not a big fan of blacks either. Because she wrote this in the times there were no blacks in America, and the only blacks that she had seen when she went to Germany. And so her book will cover a lot of the history, what's going on in America, the show stuff, and it'll give you a very, very, very good background. The second book along the same line is McCowan's book. Okay, this is the owner of Adam Ferguson. Adam is the #1 producer of show champions. That dog is a fantastic dog, and he started a lot of kennels were started behind that dog. And Robert became, I don't know if he became the president of the German Shorthair Club of America, but he was up there pretty high and in charge of a lot of stuff. The sad part is that his dog Adam was, by every measurable, a dual champion. He's a fantastic dog, not only in the field, but also definitely in the show. He needed one more major to get his field trial champion, which would give him the duel. He got 27 or 28 second places. He couldn't get the first place. He was at a trial with big running dogs, setters and pointers, and Adam finished second. But Adam found more birds than every other dog at the trial put together, and they still gave him a second. But he's an excellent author. He covers a lot of the same type of stuff that Maxwell does. This is David Layton, and he's out of England. So he talks about the UK dogs. Our dogs are heavy in UK dogs from Jack's mom's side and Katie's mom's side, David's mom's side, Lacey. So this book was very, interesting to me, but also because the UK system is different. They don't have a pointing class. Their dogs are no longer pointers. They're in a utility class. So they're against other utility gun dogs like Weimarimers and Wieslas, and they do a hunt, shoot, and retrieve and their tests are all on foot, and the dog has to do good in water too. So it gives you a pretty good background of something else that's going on around the world, in at least a different part of the world. This here is a fantastic book, and this was published in 1951, and this book was written by Germans. They translated it into English as they were writing it. This gentleman, Seiger, is he was there, Seiger, and he wrote it with someone else. And this book covers so much great information about how the German Shorthairs were developed and what was going on in Germany. First-hand knowledge, because he had great dogs. It was a book that told me where to cut the puppies' tails, the history, going into the blacks, going into the kennels. This is a must-read. You have to look. These books can all be found on eBay, and most of them can be found cheap. I bought a couple of these and given them to friends. They usually run about $30 when you can find them. This book here, however, Georgiana Bryan's book, the Deutsche Kutzar German Shorthair, this is the Bible as far as books go. They have a website just for this book. You cannot buy a printing, you have to buy a facsimile, which this is, but she covers everything. I don't even know how this lady can remember and put all the stuff together, but she goes into the history of the blacks, the history of the livers, the background. She goes into health, she goes into colors, genetics, and she goes into kennels. Matter of fact, when I open it up, she's got a part of, if you see this right here, she's got this guy's picture, the author of this book, and so she covers everything. I got a picture of Eb there. She has a little color section where she goes into the color of the dogs. This book will cost you about $85, but if you're really into German Shorthairs, it will definitely be the best $85 you've ever spent. So when you read these books, it'll give you a lot of head knowledge, but you have to spend time with the dogs. Before I even got into opening my mouth about German Shorthairs, I spent a lot of time in the field with dozens and dozens of German Shorthairs. And since that time, we've had dogs that were imported from Germany. We've had Serbian dogs. We've had dogs from Romania. We've had a lot of field trial white stuff. That's the Mosgard line. That all goes back to Ebb, whether it's Dixieland Rusty or Clown or Shameless or whoever's out there. So we've had all of those lines. We had the versatile lines from the shoot to retrieve stuff. We've had the nab the stuff. We've had the versatile German Shorthairs. We've had just about every kind of dog, and we've hunted behind every dog, and we've raised them in the house, and we had them. And we've had the crosses. We crossed the DKs with the versatile lines. We crossed the DKs with the field trial stuff. So we kind of know what works and doesn't work, and that takes, you may not ever, if you start a kennel, you may not ever get that in depth. There's so much involved in just that part of it alone.
Research.
People are going to be showing dogs. People are going to be hunting dogs. People are going to be trialing dogs. People are going to be testing dogs. People are going to be in nab. People are going to be in AKC hunt tests. They're going to be in shoot to retrieve type of stuff. They're not going to do any of it. They're going to hunt. They're not going to hunt. They're going to do the testing. They're not going to do the testing or the hunting, but they're still going to have the dogs. And it's like everybody gets kind of centrist in their little areas, and they become opinionated in such a way that they think that that's the only way to do it and that's the best way to do it. Many people live and die by AKC, the German Shorthair Club of America, and the testing and field trialing, not even knowing that there's a whole world of German Shorthairs out there.
Barn. What's that stuff? The barn
hunting? Hunts and stuff. So there's there's a lot of stuff going out there. You know, we have the German Club is here in America. You know, the DK Club of North America, Deutsche Guitar Club of North America. You know, we got the NAVDO, it's a registry. Got UKC's a registry. Field Dog Club's a registry. AKC's a registry. And there's a lot going on within all of that. And then there's the old lines from Hustler and Ebold and the Stradivarius stuff, and you know, and learning about where they all go back to, how many go back to Axel Solid Liver Dog, you know, Ciro, which is a black roan dog that probably surpassed him as far as the most used dog in Germany. The difference between, you know, the testing, you know, now the tests in water, tests in, you know, pointing, finding birds, but the German system tests also in tracking, and they're, you know, much more involved. The average breeder of German Shorthairs not only doesn't test in tracking, setting tracks and see how their dogs work on tracking, they're not even hunting fur. The average German Shorthair hunter probably doesn't hunt rabbits, probably doesn't hunt foxes, bobcats, probably doesn't even hunt ducks. Most people think because it's a German Shorthair pointer that the only thing that the dog does is hunt upland game. That's typically not the truth. And if you're going to breed German Shorthairs, I believe you owe it to the German Shorthair to breed a versatile dog the way it was meant to be bred. Even if you're not going to do water work, even if you yourself aren't going to hunt ducks, that's the way the dog is supposed to be bred. So you need to figure out what dogs are producing good water dogs, and it's all genetics. We want a dog that's naturally points, naturally backs, naturally retrieve, naturally loves the water, and is genetically a friendly dog. Those are the things that's important to us, because those are the things that we read that the dog is supposed to be. So Kim talked about customer base. How do you feel about shipping?
Shipping's a tough one. I mean, we've done it a lot, and it's okay. It's not horrible to do it. It's just a lot of work on our part. It's a lot of work on our part.
Why?
Well, we have to take it to the vet after it's 8 weeks old, and have it have a health certificate done on it, and then we have to make sure that the temperature is right from Phoenix and to wherever it's going.
What about the crate?
Oh yeah, we have to have a special, not a special kind of crate, but it's a crate that has to be approved by the airline. So we have to order the crate. We have to have the
water bowl.
Yeah, the water bowl and the food bowl, and then you have to send just a baggie of food and a water bottle with them. You can't have anything in the crate except one blanket, which is always hard for me because they always have toys and stuff they chew on. They can't have anything in there. It's like they're going to be there.
And how far is the drive?
Oh, well, it's about 2 hours for us to drive to Phoenix, and you usually have to get there super early in the morning.
And you don't want to hit traffic.
Oh, no. You don't want to hit traffic.
And you still got to drive. It's 2.5 hours, and you don't want to hit traffic, and you still have to drive there
back.
And back,
Yeah.
and it takes up part of your whole day. And usually we don't charge enough extra, or a lot of times we don't charge anything extra.
Right.
So we keep saying we're not going to ship anymore.
And yeah,
we do.
The last few people have come down, flown down, and we pick them up at the airport and bring them, and they can stay at the house, and that works out good. Why don't you tell them how you started, how you got your first dogs? You know, after you retired, you went on that trip, and
that was with Dusty.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got into it. We got the dogs because we wanted to hunt, and we wanted a family dog, and we had a son that was being homeschooled. We thought that would be good for him as well. And then the next dog after that, you know, she's like 15 now, and her and I went on, you know, hunting.
A walkabout.
Pretty much a walkabout, because we wanted to look at kennels. We wanted to see what was out there. It's kind of before the internet, and you just couldn't pick up stuff and find out what was going on. And it took me a long time. Mm-hmm. The information I'm giving you, I wish somebody would have given me. Oh, there's another book. I don't have it out here, but David Gowdy's book, The German Shorthair. He's got 2 books out, and they're both really good. But the one about German Shorthairs, I wished I would have had that one to understand about the versatility of the dog, what kind of dog you really need to be looking for. I didn't know, and 25% of all German Shorthairs that are in the AKC registry basically come down from field trial champion lines, which is not the versatile type of dog typically you're looking for. Probably want to check into NABDA, see what's going on in NABDA. We didn't even get into the colors before we go. You have black and liver. We have liver and white, black and white, a combination of those two. Okay, not black and liver. It's either liver and white, solid liver, liver roan, or it's black roan, solid black, black and white. If you breed the two together, black and liver, you can get either black or liver, not both. You can't have a dog that has some black and some liver in it. You either have one or the other, even if you breed them together. A liver and a liver always produces liver. The blacks come out of the Potmus line out of Germany. It's the oldest kennel in Germany, and all the top kennels have it, whether it was Washling or whether it was Wittichen, whether it was Heggie House. They all have the black dogs. They came to America only about 30 years ago, and there were very, very, very few of them, and for years they didn't come in at all. German Shorthairs came into America in 1925 in Montana with Dr. Thornton. There were no blacks came in then. The German Shorthair Club in Germany started in 1870, and that's when they started solidifying it. They added black back into the German Shorthair in about 1907, and they used a solid black English pointer from the Arkwright Kennel in England. Beech Grove Best was that dog's name. And so the blacks that are coming into America have just been wonderful. People have embraced them because they're extremely versatile and they're very loving, and they blend so well with all the other dogs that are already here. And we start blending them even with field trial stuff, and you end up getting versatile dogs within the first generation. So don't overlook the dogs because they're black. The color, the color only matters if it's in line with a strain of dogs. White field trial dogs are genetically maybe programmed this way, and it might cause you a little problems. Blacks are genetically programmed the German way, with the versatility, good water work, good retrieve, etc. What's our guarantee?
Our guarantee, if for whatever reason you don't like the dog, he doesn't fit with your family when they're little, or even 5 years from now you're getting a divorce and you don't know what to do with the dog, and you want to get rid of him, you give us a call. We will take the dog back, and we'll either give you another dog when you're ready, or another puppy, or we'll give you your money back.
Why do you have such a guarantee like that?
Because we want to be able to we want to be responsible for these dogs. I mean, it's not a big deal for us to take a dog back after 5 years, because then we get to see what the line has produced, and a lot of times we can integrate that back into our lines, or if it's not something that was working out for us, we can rehome
most of the time
him,
we rehome the dog. We don't want the dog to go into the pound.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do get a dog back, and we use it in our program if it's versatile and a line set we want, but typically not. Typically the dog comes back, we spend some time with it, we evaluate it, we get it in the field. We want to spend enough time with it so when we pass it on to the next person, that we could give the next person an honest evaluation of what the dog is. We could tell them, then when we tell them exactly, we don't hide anything. If the dog has a problem with whatever, we tell them that. If it's a good hunting dog, if it isn't a good hunting dog, if it likes the water, doesn't like the water, is shy. Turned out to be that it was gun shy because they didn't do anything with it. Whatever the dog is. And what do you think the main reason we get a dog back?
Well, mainly I think it's because people don't work them enough. They don't give them enough jobs to do. They don't take them out, and these are dogs that you don't just take them for a one walk during the day. These dogs have to run. So you got to find a dog park or a big open field or something where
so
they
you're
can
getting
run.
the dogs back because people are moving, getting divorced, or because the dog's too much for them?
Yeah. One of those reasons usually.
Okay. One of them. So the dogs need a lot of exercise until they're 2 years old. They start to calm down a little bit after 2, and by 6 they're pretty much settled and they're perfect. They're perfect dogs. And like Kim said, 2-mile walk for a German Shorthair on a leash is nothing. Typically, our dogs out in the field, if I'm walking 2 miles, they probably run 12 miles the first hour, probably 9 miles the second. And that's every other day. And plus, they're running back and forth in the yard. So for somebody that, can't do that, it can cause a lot of problems. So, like Cesar Milan said, get a treadmill. Put the dog on a treadmill. You're going to have to work those. But we don't know what the people, some of the people we thought were going to be terrible, have been great with the dogs, and some people we thought were great weren't so great. So we don't know who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. Right. And
we do our best. I mean, I ask people questions, try to figure out, make sure that they know exactly that it's for about 2 years, it's going to be like a teenage boy with ADHD on crack.
Maybe not the crack, but definitely ADHD. ADHD boy. Finish this sentence. If you have a good
German Shorthair, you will get another one. If you do have a bad German Shorthair, you will never get another one.
If you have a good German Shorthair, you'll never have another kind of a dog.
Right.
If you have a bad one, you'll never have another German Shorthair.
Right. But
German Shorthairs are loving like a lab, waterwork like a lab, retrieval like a lab. But they're healthier than a lab.
Yes.
And they have less genetic problems, and they live longer. They don't have hip dysplasia. And somebody told me that they spent $1,500 or $3,500. It was a huge amount for a pointing lab, and it had something called some kind of something where they collapse. And it's it's a known thing where if they exercise too much or they go out, the dogs can't handle it and they collapse. Well, that's definitely unheard of as far as German Shorthairs go. So we've covered guarantees, shipping, testing, customers, prices. What's your price?
$800.
Why $800? Everybody else getting $1,200, $1,500, and their dogs aren't as good as ours.
I know, and we've tried to raise it, but every time I try to raise it, I still say $800. So I figure that's just what it's supposed to be. We want people that just regular people that are out hunting or that want a good hunting dog or a good family dog to be able to afford them.
Yeah, we figure if you pay $800 for the dog, that you got a pretty good investment and you're going to take good care of our dogs. Mm-hmm. So we want you to take good care of the dog that you get from us. And if you pay that amount of money, you probably will. And 800's worked. I don't know if it's just Arizona or pricing. I mean, you're getting a dog that lives to be 14 years old that's one of the best hunting dogs in the world, number one versatile hunting dog in the world that can do anything and everything, and people are getting $2,500 for boxers and Apalopsos or whatever else is out there. Yeah. So some of the activities that we do the therapy. We take our dogs on outings. We have the girls do the obedience stuff, and the dogs just hang around with us, in the house. My primary activity with the dogs is getting them out. And the reason is I can take 20 dogs out at the same time. I'm always having puppies, and I'm always developing puppies. I already know what my big dogs will do. I already know how they point, how they back, what they will do. It's the younger dogs I'm evaluating. Because if you want to be in our program, naturally you better start finding birds, and you better be pointing, you better be backing, you better like the water, you better have a good disposition. If you don't have those, you don't fit in our program. So it's much easier to take the dogs out all the way from the older dogs. Dusty is almost 15, still loves the outings, all the way down to 8 weeks. And so those dogs are all going. And we'll go to the water work, and we can do water work here most all year long. But, we don't, like, I spend a lot of time watching football and watching TV, and I drink, do drugs, I run around, I do German short hairs. We both, that's what we do.
I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
we do German short hairs, and so
Pretty much that's it.
We read, spend
Eat,
time.
sleep, drink, German short hair.
That's right. So, cleaning. Kim does a lot of laundry because we have a lot of blankets. We rescued 12 LQ pointers. Remember, from Mr. LQ here himself. From his line, we rescued 12 Mr. LQ's pointers from a breeder that breeds LQ pointers that for some reason went out of business, and he did not take good care of his dogs. So we've been trying to socialize those dogs. And one of them's a blanket thief. He gets all the blankets and drags them into his little area. They're not in kennels anywhere. The first month was pretty tough for socialization.
They were not happy.
So we went over books. Read everything you can. Hopefully you're a reader. I mean, I have a ton of training books, a ton of books on dogs, puppies, a lot of videos out there for training. I was a police canine handler for years, and everything had to be pretty spot on. You had to be very much into obedience, and the dog had to be perfect, and I don't do that with these dogs. The dogs typically, I don't even teach the dogs to load up in the back of the pickup. I open the door, tailgate, and the dogs jump in. The little dogs see what the bigger dogs do, and they try to jump in, and before you know it, they like the outing so well, you open it up, and they do that. They come when I call, because I start when they're little pup-ups, and when I give them their special feed. At 5 weeks old, I holler, "Pup-up, pup-up," and they all come, they all come running. And so that's what we like. That's how we do it. So, but we have the girls do obedience, and we want them to be on a leash and walk on a leash, and they can do some agility stuff, and we put them out on the chain because when you're hunting, you may have them on a chain gang. We do collar conditioning. I have to be honest, I'm not real good at it. I got the top of the line Garmin, and the one with the tracking on it, and the one with the shock collar, and a whole set of the 9, and a whole set of the other ones, and I typically don't use that. The dogs do everything so well that probably what I would need to do, like we guide on preserves, and so what happens is that because we're always working very, very close, I need to get the dogs conditioned to the beeper, so when they're out too far, I can beep them and they can come back closer to the hunter that we have. That's been pretty easy. So you can, they got a lot of hunt tests. They got NAVDA, they got NASTRA, they got AKC stuff, they got UKC stuff, they got shows, they got ratting, dogs can be in dock diving, the dogs can be involved in retrieving titles now, and you can do any of that kind of stuff. For the people that are starting a kennel and they don't hunt, they don't have access to hunting, you have to work on preserves. If you don't have that, it's not hunting season, you might want to be involved in other stuff with your dogs. We don't have time for a lot of that. I mean, it would take a lot of our time away to do NAVDA. NAVDA's, we almost started a chapter. I went to the judging part of the seminar to learn what they do. And we've thought about starting a chapter here. Most of the chapters are 5 hours away, and it's like, I'm going to take the whole weekend to go up and do NAVDA with a few people, wait my turn to do it, and pay them a bunch of money to test my dogs to do something I already know the dog does. Or during the weekend, I can take all of my dogs out 2 or 3 times, during the weekend, or even 2 or 3 times a day. And it's like, and go hunting and get into wild birds. It's sometimes kind of a no-brainer. And we've looked into shoot to retrieve. It looked like it would be fun. The AKC hunt test probably would be fun and challenging. And if you're going to get into that, some people feel that they need the titles on the dogs. And so they work for show titles and hunt test titles and NAVDA scores and titles. And, they figure that helps them sell their dogs. And it might, but I don't think it makes any bit of difference for us. We have a very, very good following. We don't have any problems selling our puppies. People know who we are. We have a good website. We have a good network. You know, we've got 10 dogs that guides use. We got dogs and guides use all the way to South Carolina. People called us, said they got some dogs in Africa of ours, Canada. You know, so the word of mouth is getting around, and we have a website that's awesome. Second to none. I mean, awesome. It's 100,000 pictures of it.
He does everything on it.
It covers everything. We put new photos on. I try to put information on, videos on, and we'll add some of this stuff to it as well. So I think having a lot of dogs for a breeding program is great. I mean, because we can have German dogs, we can have different males, we can try different things. It's just, you know, after all of these years, it takes up a lot of time. And we have 13 grandkids, and I think we'd both rather spend a little more time with them and still spend time with our dogs. But, you know, having as many dogs as we have, even though it's not difficult, the dogs are fantastic, it's still time consuming. Mm-hmm. So we've had partners, you know, we got the next partners and help. We've had partners. It never works out.
It doesn't work out for us.
It just don't work out.
We're better as a partner.
Yeah. I'm a road dog.
Yeah.
Shotgun rider.
Shotgun rider.
Because people get their feelings hurt over nothing. And they get mad over nothing, and then, you know, everything goes south, and you have a lot of time and emotions invested in people that you really love and care about, and then, you know, your partnership splits up, and then, you know, and it doesn't work because most people are extremely selfish and self-centered people. People are fine as long as things are going their way. As long as you're the one giving more, putting more into the relationship, spending more money, helping them out. But when it comes to that kind of stuff flowing back the other way, with them helping, putting in money, it doesn't work, and they get their feelings hurt. And it seems like you're doing all of the work in the relationship. And I think the reason Kim and I's relationship works all these years in our marriage, because that's not the way we do things. You know, my job is to make her happy, her job is to make me happy, and that's what we try to do. And she laughs and jokes, and I like to laugh and joke, and, you know, we handle we've had our share of
lots of ups and downs.
Lots of ups and downs, a lot of dramas, a lot of deaths in the family, a lot of stuff. We deal with them every day. We have our grandkids, we dealt with our children, and it's just like, that's just something, you know, that we've learned to deal with. So partnerships are tough. Getting help is also something that's very tough. We've had a few good workers, and we've had a lot of shitty ones. You know, we had Les that was pretty good, and we've had Jackie that was really good. And but we've had, you know, Jeff that wasn't so good, and Marilyn, and Alaskan whatever, and Bob, and it's like our own son. They haven't really worked out. It would be great so you know, if you have a lot of money, you're probably just better off to pay him, you know, some cash and come in and pick up some poop and head the other way. It's very, very difficult to rely on people. So basically, partnerships, it's a little different, and I think I have networking down further, like 4 down. So we have partners. So networking's a little bit